under AI. From that, I have just confined this topic, AI in healthcare, and I would like to share my insights and views and my experience, whatever the knowledge that I have gained in this area. I just would like to share with you all. So hope this will be a fruitful session for all the participants. So once again, I welcome all the participants for this session and thanks for the opportunity. Let's start the session. Yeah, AI in healthcare. So before getting into the topic of AI in healthcare, let me just start with AI. So now you're all, I think most of you from area of AI and data science, I hope so. Probably some of the students are research scholars and some students are master's students also there. So I wish you all good luck in your research career and aspects. So next, so when I keep telling next, please move on to next slide now. Can you please go to the next slide now? Padmapriya? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Coming to AI, yes, you're all familiar with this topic, right? AI. What do you mean by AI? So you keep on like attending many sessions you might have attended, right? So just let me put this question to you. What is AI? Any responses? What do you mean by AI?
Artificial intelligence, sir.
That I know. I did not ask you the abbreviation, dear. What do you mean by AI then?
Right, sir.
Sorry, ma, your voice was cutting. It was breaking. Can you please repeat it?
Embedded human brain. It is the quantitating the human brain, sir.
Okay. So AI, it is one of the branches of computer science which emphasizes the development of intelligence in machines, right? It tries to inject that intelligence in machines so that machine will also think and do like humans. So this is very, like, I don't want to get into too technical, but this is what generally AI, what it does. It is, of course, yeah, one of the branches in computer science which emphasizes the development of that intelligence in machines. For what? For thinking and for working like humans. So let's take example of speech recognition, okay, problem solving, learning, planning. So overall, it provides that ability. So it exhibits the ability of a computer, or let's talk about robo, whatever may be, the ability of a computer or a robo that is controlled by a computer, okay, in order to perform all the tasks which are usually done by the humans. Because humans do possess that intelligence, right? So we want the robo that is being controlled by a computer or a computer by itself. We want it to acquire that human intelligence. So that is what is being given to the machines artificially, which comes under this domain, artificial intelligence. So that is what AI. Of course, if I ask you what for AI is used for, can you mention out few things? What is AI used for? Anybody? Let us make it quite some interactive sessions. Huh? So don't, because we are all used to this online sessions and all. It's very difficult, challenging task for the teachers as well. So we don't know how to capture the students' attendance and how to make them attentive in the classroom. So that's very good. Same thing goes with in all workshops, online invited talks, webinars, and all. Of course, many of you, like many students, they will be very attentive. They would like to extract all the informations, whatever out of this seminar or webinar or talks, workshops, all those things. But yeah, let us make it quite interactive. So if I put the question like, what is AI used for? What do you say? You know the many uses of AI, right? You can mention few.
Applications, retails, from செல்ஃப் டிரைவிங்க்கு நமக்கு இ-காமர்ஸ் வந்து டெவலப் பண்ணி தருது சார்.
இ-காமர்ஸ் டெவலப் பண்ணி தருதா?
பிரைன் நாலேஜ்ஃபுல்லா செல்ஃப் டிரைவிங் எங்க பார்க் பண்ணனும், எந்தெந்த இடத்துல இது மாதிரி ஐடியாஸ் மேக் பண்ணுது.
Good. So generally most AI examples, when we come across anything, as one of our friends said, self-driving cars, immediately it comes to our mind, self-driving cars, chess playing computers, right? So they are all the uses of AI. So how do they work? They all rely heavily on deep learning architectures and of course natural language processing, as I said, speech recognition, problem solving in terms of learning and planning, right? So AI, what it does, it tries to make it possible for the machines to learn from experience. So how do you drive the car? By experience, right? You learn it, you plan it, you experience it, then you drive good. Initially, on the first day itself, you don't drive excellent, right? So this artificial intelligence makes it possible for the machines also. For the machines to learn from experience, it will make them work on all the inputs, new inputs, because you come across many new things, new parameters, new attributes, right? Similarly, this AI will make the machines to work on new inputs, thereby performing all the human-like tasks. So this is how AI is being used. Okay, and for that, of course, you have got several AI techniques, right? So what do you say on AI techniques? Can you mention few techniques, as AI techniques? Any AI techniques? You might have heard many things in this earlier 2 days sessions, right? Many speakers, they would have mentioned many techniques. They would have kept on talking about many techniques, right? What were they? You can mention few, dear. What were they? Okay, let me not ask the question. You will get bored, I believe. Huh? Okay, there are many techniques, right? Many techniques that you can, you definitely, you know that, I know, I'm sure that you know that. You might have heard many things in these 2 days, many techniques, people would have kept on talking, mentioning so many things, right? So AI techniques means, don't get confused. I meant the techniques in the sense, the procedures which are used to enable the computers to possess human intelligence. The techniques which are used to enable the computers to possess that human intelligence, or else human intelligent activities. As I mentioned earlier, speech recognition, visual perception, okay, decision making, natural language understanding. So these are all what we call it as AI techniques. They will help to enable the computers to possess human intelligence, human-like intelligent activities. So that is what we mean it as AI techniques. Okay, so can you please move on to the next slide, ma'am? Next slide, please. Yeah, so artificially we are injecting that intelligence, but thereby which we get this artificial intelligence. So it is the capacity to learn and solve problems, right? So it is the simulation of human intelligence by machines. So this is what I was talking about. Next slide. So overall, we can say it's the simulation of human intelligence in machines. Am I right? Human intelligence in machines. Okay, now let us move on to next slide. We start with AI in healthcare. So now you are all familiar with what is AI, right? Now you know what is artificial intelligence. What do you mean by AI technique? What do they try to do on AI? How it is being used? So you have mentioned some real-time examples, right? So now let us move on to AI in healthcare. What is AI in healthcare? We say AI here in this particular domain. There are several domains where we have got the uses of AI. So in particular, we are going to discuss in the domain of healthcare domain. There are many things you keep on like you might have come across so many things this, but probably you may not be knowing that okay, this is AI in healthcare, because we are all very much familiar to go to hospitals using several such apps related to healthcare, especially since 2 years since the revolution of this COVID-19. Okay, we keep hearing about many things, right? Because we couldn't go to the hospital. Everything we try to make it through the apps online and all. So you might have heard about many such things. So all are part of AI in healthcare. So AI in healthcare, if you see, it is an umbrella which covers the applications of machine learning, of course, deep learning, and any other cognitive technology. Okay, cognitive technology. What is that? Intelligence, right? So AI in healthcare, it is an umbrella that covers the application of machine learning algorithms, deep learning algorithms, and any other cognitive algorithms in medicine, in medical settings. That is what this AI in healthcare we mean here. Okay. There is a noise somewhere. Can you please mute yourself? Is that Krishnaveni? Please mute yourself, ma. Thank you. Okay, so AI in healthcare, as I did mention, it is an umbrella which covers the applications of machine learning algorithms, deep learning algorithms, and all other cognitive technologies, I should say, in medical field. So that is what we mean here as AI in healthcare. In simple, if I would like to tell you, when these machines, I mean the computers, they mimic the human cognition, what happens? They are capable of learning, they are capable of thinking, they are capable of making decisions, they are capable of taking actions, right? So as a result of AI, the machines, they try to mimic the human cognition, thereby they will be able to learn, think, make decisions, and take actions or whatnot. So the use of AI in healthcare, of course, has got that potential to assist the healthcare, to assist the healthcare providers in several aspects. Several aspects means several aspects related to what? Patient's care. And of course, there are many other administrative processes involved in it, right? So the use of artificial intelligence in healthcare has got that potential to assist healthcare. Thereby, the healthcare providers will be able to handle the patient's care and administrative processes in a well manner. So that is the main purpose of this AI in healthcare. So AI in medicine or healthcare is primarily concerned with the construction of AI programs that perform diagnosis and make therapy recommendations. Right? Medical AI programs are based on symbolic models of disease entities and their relationship to patient factors and clinical manifestations. This is what I meant here. Right? What did I say? The artificial intelligence in healthcare, it has got all its potentials to assist healthcare. Assist healthcare in the sense, assisting the healthcare providers, okay, to handle this patient's care. And of course, there are several other administrative processes related to this patient's care. Patient's care means it includes everything, right from receiving them, diagnosing them, treating them, okay, so all those things. So overall, I put it in the term patient care, right? Next slide now. Goals of AI healthcare. Okay, so you can see here, what did I give? Expert computer programs for clinical use. Okay, so expert systems, we know that. So that's what I meant it here as expert computer programs for clinical use. Of course, all the medical expertise pertaining to every demographic data or related to the geographical regions. So where and all those expertise is lacking, this will help to disseminate all those all such areas. So dissemination of best medical expertise to the geographical locations where that expertise is lacking. Probably you may not be able to go to a particular hospital in a particular city which is quite famous for a particular disease treatment and all. Okay, so now everything comes under that umbrella, so that this AI in healthcare disseminates that provision to those areas as well, making consultation help available to non-specialists, not within easy reach of expert human consultants. So overall, what is happening here? What is the main goals of healthcare when you combine all these things? It involves predictions. It involves tracking of those diseases, analyzing the data involved in those diseases. So what is the main goal of AI in healthcare? To predict and track the spread of the infectious diseases by analyzing all those data. Okay, data means from where? So data you do get from the government sector, healthcare sectors, and all other sources wherever it is possible. So that's what the main goal of healthcare. Thereby, it formalizes the medical expertise. Okay. So next slide, please. So if you see a recent survey, physician survey done by the doctors company regarding this AI in healthcare. So they came out with a survey on this AI in healthcare. You can see the results. 53% of the people, they are optimistic about the prospects of AI in medicine. So that is more than 50, half of, right? So they are all optimistic about the prospects of AI in medicine. Next, 35% using AI in their practices. which is quite more. 35% of the people keep using AI in their practices, healthcare people. Next, 66% believe that AI will lead to faster diagnosis. So, which is more than 60%, almost 66%, nearing 70%. They believe that AI will definitely give you the faster diagnosis. Next, same 66% they believe that AI will lead to more accurate diagnosis. Faster is okay, but we need the fast diagnosis, but we need the accurate diagnosis. That is very important, right? Of course, the same amount of people, 66%, they believe that AI will lead to more accurate diagnosis. Right. So based on this 35%, 60% in terms of AI prospects, in terms of AI diagnosis, faster diagnosis, in terms of accurate diagnosis, from this survey, what do we summarize? So we can believe that AI in healthcare can enhance the preventive care, not only preventive care, quality of life. It can produce more accurate diagnosis, right? Faster diagnosis, accurate diagnosis. So eventually it will enhance the preventive care and quality of life as well. So thereby people could be able to get proper treatment plans. So overall it will definitely lead to better patient outcomes. So overall, the summary, from this healthcare survey, what do we infer? The AI in healthcare definitely helps for the preventive care. It enables and enhances quality of life. It produces more accurate diagnosis, faster diagnosis, which helps for proper treatment planning, thereby leading to the better patient outcomes. Right? So it gives a hope. Yes, we can go for AI in healthcare, right? So that is how it happens. So that is how it has come to that prospect. Okay, so that's why I just showed you this. Simply research people in the research domain keep talking about. It's not like that. It's already in action. Okay, so based on the outcomes, based on the experiences, based on the current trends, only it has come out with this survey outcomes. Like definitely it will lead to better enhancement of life in terms of medicine. Next. Now getting into the deeper uses or the benefits of AI in healthcare. Mainly if you see AI in healthcare, it is used in medical imaging, for medical imaging, right? Then early detection of ailments, then decision support in diagnosis. Of course, it does involve preliminary diagnosis as well. Computer assisted, AI assisted surgeries, better user experience, wearable based technology to get the data. So many things we can keep talking about, but I'm going to touch these things and I'm going to discuss these things as far as to depict the uses of AI in healthcare. Okay, so first let us move on to medical imaging. The first one, let's talk about medical imaging. So you can see here MRI, CT scans, X-rays. So there are several modalities we have got: fluorescent imaging, magnetic resonance imaging, CT scan, computed tomography, positron emission tomography, PET scans. Okay, fluorescent imaging also is there, X-rays. Okay. So all these tools are used to diagnose the diseases. Especially we keep hearing all these tools in the diagnosis of cancers, right? Diagnosis of tumors. right? So all these modalities are in place. Next. Yeah, what is happening here? The radiologists, they review the images, right? And they come out with their diagnosis. What is happening once the scans are done? Radiologists review the images for signs of diseases. So thereby, it's not that hard to see how the AA is useful, right? It's very easy to know, make it out. Yeah, AA is very much useful. Let's talk about the research domain. What is happening in research domain pertaining to this AA in healthcare? An AI algorithm can easily be like fed images which are labeled by the radiologist, and of course it can easily excel radiologists in finding those cancers, right? So it plays a vital role. Even if you go through the literature, because you might be doing literature review in all the areas of your interest. Some research scholars are here. Definitely you would have noticed there are many techniques in healthcare which achieve very good accuracy in the cancer diagnosis. So especially, let us take the example of neural network. Neural network in the research domain had proven 99% of accuracy in diagnosing the cancer, as opposed to the accuracy achieved by doctors, which is around 40%, even less than 50%. Just imagine. So this 99% of accuracy, this will definitely lead to the reduction in the error, increase in the early detection of cancers, which will eventually help for saving several lives. Right? Next. Early detection of ailments. So I listed out a few things you can see here: the vision problems, diabetic retinopathy, cough detection, that is for the detection of COVID, heart conditions, cardiovascular diseases. So in the early detection of all those, of course, it does involve cancer as well, tumor, different types of cancers. So in diabetic retinopathy, in COVID detection, in heart detection, abnormality detection, okay, tumor detections. So what is the common type of technology being used here? AI technology, machine learning models. Because we keep using machine learning. Of course, machine learning means it does involve deep learning as well. So I have just put the images of those diabetic retinopathy screening, COVID detection for using cough detection. And you can see the cardiovascular diseases, the early detection, how it is being done by employing AI techniques. So this is a collaborative research, and they came out with this technique that is between Microsoft and Apollo hospitals. So you might have heard about this partnership. So this partnership between Microsoft and Apollo, they developed, of course, they deployed a new machine learning model for what? To predict the patient risk of heart disease, heart attack, heart disease, any other heart abnormalities. So thereby, it will assist the doctors for the treatments accordingly. So this partnership team between Microsoft and Apollo hospitals, they have come out with an AI-powered cardio application programming interface, cardio API. You can browse through as well. So AI-powered cardio API, they came out, and that platform is being used by this partnership in the treatment of heart diseases. So this collaboration, if you see, of course, with Microsoft, right? So they came out with the usage of this path-breaking technology, that is AI, and of course, it does include machine learning algorithms. For what? For better prediction, better prevention, right? Better management of heart disease. Of course, they do it in India, but now, based on the success rates, not only in India but across the globe as well, by validating all those algorithms. So they work towards a global consortium. Okay, they try to tackle multiple conditions in those cardiovascular disease. And regarding Microsoft partnership, there is another one with LV Prasad Eye Institute as well. So that collaboration is meant to treat eye care, that is eye care, Eye Institute. Okay, so the diabetic retinopathy and all, they do that. They have launched some Microsoft intelligent network eye care, I think so, mine. So as a next step, they came out with this heart disease prediction. Okay, next one. Okay, so next, as you see here in this slide, decision support in diagnosis. Clinical decision support systems. Of course, human is responsible for the decision, right? So based on the outcomes, based on the results, based on the data, okay, we do make decisions. Decision making is vital, right? So human is responsible for the decision, but how machine supports you for this, that's why especially in healthcare. So those decision support systems, we mean it here as clinical decision support systems. So the clinical decision support systems, it will support for various functionalities. So if you see, the doctors in the emergency departments, if you see, they are always overworked, right? Due to the general physicians also, even sometimes they are fatigued. What will happen because of this? As the doctors and general physicians are much worked and fatigued, this will lead to more errors in the patient diagnosis. So that is why we need a decision support system. So one of the ways to reduce this error is, as I said, using an AI assistant. Right? Imagine when the patient books an appointment, they submit a list of symptoms, right? I have got this. So whatever the symptoms they are experiencing, they submit all those as input. Using these symptoms, the AI engine, okay, where is the AI engine? It is behind the scenes, right? That can make a couple of pre-diagnoses and it will disseminate them to the doctors so that it will help the doctor to know exactly what to expect even before seeing the patient. Okay, so this is a part of this decision support system, right? So decision suggestions through data analysis, information filtering, confidence on the decisions. So all these functionalities could be achieved through this decision support, especially in diagnosis. Next. Yeah, just now I did mention about AI assistant, right? So mostly to support doctors with diagnosis. AI assistant, virtual nursing assistants are also there. So the AI assistant can successfully reduce the risk of misdiagnosis. I told you, right? Error in the diagnosis. So for this AI assistant, we can take the example of the famous popular UK-based company. They came out with Babylon Health, right? App. So that is a digital health service provider. What do? they do combine this artificial intelligence in their digital health platform. So it is an AI powered platform, of course, with virtual clinical operations for helping out patients. So what will happen through this? Patients will get connected with healthcare professionals, of course, through its web and mobile application. It had got its root a lot during this COVID also, because we were not able to go to the hospitals, right? So this Babylon Health, if you see, they tied up with Prudential company in Asia to come out with such apps. So many such applications on digital health service providers are in existence now. You can mention out many. There is something like Ask Sunday, right? So Ask Sunday is also one of the best known virtual assistants. It is also a virtual assistant platform since many years. There is one thing like in Bangalore also for breast cancer screening, Niramai, I think so, Niramai. So that is also a software-based medical device to detect the breast cancer at very much earlier stages. So that enables earlier detection and leads to prognosis as well. So there are many AI assistants as a part of this decision support systems. And of course, yes, virtual nursing assistant. So this is especially useful for the patients who have recently been discharged. So people get discharged, right? So those who have got discharged recently and they need not long time before, right? Of course, the periodical reviews will be there. So whoever been discharged recently and whoever do require home care, for them this virtual nursing assistant would be very much useful. The virtual assistant would be accessible through an app. Of course, everybody has got for mobile gadgets. So it could be accessed through an app on the phone. It will help you to conduct daily checkups. Okay, you can check in. Okay, you can mingle with the patients, and this app would answer all their questions. I mean, patients' questions. Not only that, further, it would go ahead and feed all those information back to the hospital, because after receiving those information from the patients, what does it do? It would feed all those information to the hospital. The hospital can provide, based on this information, the further ongoing care without making them to visit the hospital. So the hospital can provide ongoing care without the need for hospital visits at all. So this kind of virtual nursing assistants are also there. Okay, but however, as I did mention all those things, whatever I did mention, if you want to know the reason, the rationale behind the decisions, that is quite critical. So then it becomes the domain of explainable AI. I think you got a session on explainable AI. So probably the professor would have explained much on the concepts of explainable AI. But however, I will just touch a little towards the end of this talk. Okay. Next. So overall, if you see this AI in healthcare, whatever I did mention now, like decision support system, all the modalities, right? Virtual assistants, all those things. This AI in medicine can be categorized into two branches. One is the virtual branch, another one is physical branch. Physical branch is involvement of robots. That is virtual branch. So involvement of all those robo-assisted surgery, I did mention, right? So those things come under the branch of physical branch of AI in healthcare. But so far, whatever I did mention, all those things could be achieved through a set of algorithms. What type of algorithms? Machine learning algorithms, deep learning algorithms, all combination of mathematical algorithms. which will improve the learning through experience, right? So these algorithms, the virtual branch, as I did say, could are of three types, like supervised, unsupervised, then reinforcement learning. Of course, we can include semi-supervised also. So supervised learning. So this virtual branch, as I said, it involves mathematical algorithms which will help you to improve the learning through experience. So these are all different. Of course, you are all quite familiar with this supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforcement learning. Not reinforcement learning, but I'm sure you are all familiar with supervised and unsupervised learning because you might be doing classification, regression, forecasting, all those things, right? So in supervised, I don't want to touch much, but I'll just give a superficial explanation on those things. Supervised learning, what will happen? Anybody here? Supervised learning, what do you mean by supervised learning? Because many of you would have been walked through machine learning algorithms and all, right? What do you say, dear? What do you mean by supervised learning? Okay, I don't want to disappoint you by asking questions. Okay, supervised learning, the machine is taught by examples, right? We provide the machine learning algorithm with the data sets. Data sets means the desired inputs, desired outputs. Okay, all those information needs to be given. So the algorithm thereby will find a method to determine how to arrive at the respective inputs and outputs, right? So we know the correct answers to those problems. The algorithm identifies the patterns in data. It learns from those observations. What did I say now? Okay, thereby it makes the predictions. So this is what we mean it as supervised learning, right? So the algorithm makes predictions. You can correct it, and you can make this process continue until the algorithm achieves at high accuracy, high performance, right? So definitely you might have come across the supervised learning, like classification, regression, forecasting, right? Classification tasks you would have done, right? You will be drawing the conclusion based on the observed values, right? Understand? So many things you would have done it in classification. Regression tasks, okay, to estimate and understand the relationships amongst variables, right? And forecasting is nothing but the process of making predictions, right, about the future. So for that you make use of history, right, the past and the present data. So generally you might have used forecasting for analyzing the trends and all. You might have come across, definitely. And one is supervised learning, the other thing is unsupervised learning, where the machine is asked to study the data, okay, to identify patterns, okay, all those things. So in unsupervised learning, what happens? The machine learning algorithm is allowed to interpret the large data sets and addresses the data respectively, right? So in some way it describes its structure. So under this you might have come across clustering and all, right? The dimensionality reduction as a pre-process of big data and all. So this has got its place. And of course, as I said, the third one, reinforcement planning. It is a science of decision making. It is all about learning the behavior, optimal behavior. Okay, so it gives the maximum reward. So that is reinforcement learning. Of course, as I said, these are all the things that you are quite familiar with. So whatever so far we have discussed earlier, as I said, decision support system, the ailments and all those things, medical imaging. So it all comes under the virtual branch where we make use of the algorithms for the disease predictions and all, risk predictions, all those things. The next thing is physical branch, where the involvement of robots, right? Next slide, please. So yeah, this is what I said, right? AI assisted surgeries. So involving the autonomous robots designed for surgeries. What are the advantages of involving such robots in the surgeries? Preciseness, right? Accuracy, superhuman memory, and their ability to do the repeated actions with robustness, right? So this, if you see with humans, the surgeons need extremely the steady hands, whereas that is quite easier to get it achieved through a robotic hand, right? But however, we haven't deployed robots as autonomous as far as any surgery is concerned. It is being done with the assistance of the surgeons. So still a long way to go to deploy them as an autonomous surgeon, because we need several advancements, because it needs that localization, right? 3D tracking, the complete cooperations with the humans, right? All those things are there. Kinematic modeling, as I said, right? So in AI assisted surgeries, AI is used to monitor the movements of surgeons during any kind of complex surgery. What is the purpose of involving this? This can drastically reduce the chances of a mishap, because we know AI will be able to alert in case if the surgeon is about to do something out of the norms, right? This is very much useful as the surgeries may last for 6 hours, 7 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, right? So there are possibilities that the surgeon may come out with something out of the norms. So we need to reduce those mishap by involving AI assisted surgeries, right? So kinematic modeling, what is that? That is the mathematical description of the robot. That is what are its functionalities, what are all its dimensions, okay? The relationship between the starting position, ending position, what is its orientation, what are all the different angles in joints, okay? So you might have come across some kinematic models in robotics, right? In literature, you might have noticed velocity modeling, acceleration modeling, right? Turn modeling, okay? So all those things are part of this robotics where we keep talking about many models in this kinematic modelings and all, okay? So this is AI assisted surgeries. Next. Yeah, you can see I have just for your glance I added some images here. Use of robots to deliver the treatment, robotics based surgeries. So monitoring the effectiveness of treatment, you can see there. Next. So this is physical branch. So whatever we have seen now, it comes under physical branch. Yeah, I put an image here. Can you put that next? No? Yes. Yeah. So you can see here it includes physical objects, medical devices, so all sophisticated robots. So all those things, the linked ones that you could see here. Zigbee network, okay? So it is a wireless IoT network, right? So standard based wireless IoT network. Of course, it provides low cost, low power machine to machine in IoT network. Okay, so that is being used here. So because those chips are typically integrated microcontrollers and all, so you can make use of that. Yes, next. Better user experience. Yes, of course, it gives a better experience for both doctors and patients. If you see for doctors, it helps them to enable like converting unstructured data into structured data. So providing detailed data visualizations, enabling drug discovery. What do you mean by drug discovery? See, AI has got its place in drug discovery as well. AI is used for discovering many new medicines. When you generally go with clinical procedures, it can cost several $1 billion if you see to discover and come out with the development of new treatments. How do? They go with combination of several compounds of medicines, right, to create the new medicines. But nowadays, AI is being used by the pharmaceutical companies where they use AI-powered drug discovery. So they have got some tools for it, which will help them to sift through several compounds that will lead to creation of new medicines. So the AI algorithms will help them to minimize the drug interactions. Okay, the use of AI will drastically cut down the time in discovering the medicines. If I say it will make it down by 5 folds or 6 folds. What does that mean? The discovery period, say for an example, is 5 years. It can cut down it to 1 year. Okay, so that much it has got its place in a drug discovery platform. For patients, yeah, better experience through mobile apps, right? Chatbots, bots for first aid care level, right? So in drug discovery, AI has proved its potential. So many pharmaceutical companies have come out with this AI-enabled, AI-powered drug discovery by combining several compounds of medicines to create new medicines. Next. Wearable-based technology to get data. Various wearables. We can keep talking about. You are all familiar. You live in the world of gadgets, right? And coming to wearable technology in healthcare, there are several wearable fitness trackers, smart health watches you have, right? Wearable ECG monitors, wearable blood pressure monitors, diabetic sensors. Too many. So they are the small electronic devices. When they are placed on your body, it will help you to measure those attributes. Measure the temperature, measure the blood pressure, measure the blood oxygens, measure the breathing rate, sound, GPS locations, right? So the elevations of all those attributes could be measured accurately. Okay, so especially heartbeats, right? The muscle movements, many things. So you're all familiar with Apple Watch, right? Google Glass, Fitbit. So these are all the classic examples of these wearable technology. But they are not only the only devices. There are several. There are many VR, AR technology, right? Or in place. Wide variety of AR-based, VR-based gadgets. Okay. So of course, we are connected to all this better lifestyle, right? So they provide proactive alerts. Next. Yeah, all those things, just what I just mentioned. I have given you the link here. Go through several wearables, that complete wearable key technologies. You can have a glance at it. Next. Yeah, the market growth. Of course, I have provided statistics here. IDC, of course, it is a premier global market intelligence firm. It has examined the consumer markets by devices, by applications, by networks, by services, okay, in order to provide the complete solutions. Okay, so you can see how the market growth in terms of wearable technology has happened, and how they succeed in expanding their markets, right? Next. So AI in healthcare. So several industries pertaining to the respective attributes I have given you in terms of analytics, in terms of drug discovery, in terms of chatbots, virtual assistants, mental health apps, okay, fertility and reproduction, diagnostics and pathology, nutrition, imaging technologies, clinical trials and research, preventive care, personalized healthcare, genetics, digital health and software. So I have just given you a list. If you just go through the landscape, the list is not limited, right? So this shows the potential of AI in healthcare, to what extent it has proven its potential. Next. Yeah, so now summarizing all the benefits, whatever we have discussed so far in terms of AI in healthcare, putting in terms of benefits and risks. Assistance with case triage. What does that mean? The purpose of triage is to save as many lives as possible, right? Meaning saving the lives with AI. So as you all know, hospitals are producing so much of data. Hence, it is extraordinarily difficult to provide the analytics of all those data, right? So we want to benefit the patients going forward, but however, it becomes very difficult. We are keeping on collecting a lot more data on those patients, but we are scratching only the surface, right? So there are always better ways for us to improve the outcomes. For this, AI helps us, enables us. Okay, so it helps us to take the data, the information from hundreds of people, thousands of people in the sense patients. So in order to carry out the predictions, what's going to happen. Not only predictions, to enable the preventing it from happening. Right? So, yeah, next. Enhanced image scanning and segmentation. See, of course, medical imaging based, applying some approaches and techniques and coming out with segmentations, that is there. But now deep learning involvement in segmentation, like when performing image segmentation operations, as you all aware of CNN and all. So convolution neural networks have excellent feature extraction capabilities. They provide good feature expressions. So they don't require manual extraction of all those image features, right? So it enables for, it avoids the excessive pre-processing of images. So CNN will be used in medical image segmentation. You can see since recent years, it has achieved a great success in this auxiliary diagnosis of through image segmentation. Okay, next. integration and improvement of workflow. So that means automating the administrative tasks. That's what we mean here, the workflow. See, healthcare, AI in healthcare can help the doctors, nurses, and all other service providers, that is medical service providers, to save their time on tasks being performed physically, right? So there are several technologies, as we know, that voice to text transcriptions I did mention earlier while discussing those speech recognition and all. So they will help to order the tests, prescribe the medications, writing out those chart notes and all, right? So that supports the administrative tasks, right? How? By mining the data, thereby helping the physicians to provide a personalized treatment. Okay, it provides a better treatment experience. So you can talk about IBM Watson. Okay, so these are all the examples of those treatment plans provider. Of course, it makes use of natural language processing and all. Next, disease risk predictions. Yeah, I discussed quite a lot on this disease risk predictions, right? So of course, that's one of the potential benefits of AI in healthcare. Next. Yeah, coming to risks. Okay. Whenever there are some benefits, more of course, more benefits, there are few risks also we have got. False positives, negatives as well. False positives, false negatives. What do you mean by a false positive? When a scientist will try to find out something as true, sorry, as false, it turns out to be true. That's what false positive, right? So we call this false positive as type 1 error. So a false positive is always a false alarm. And false negative is type 2 error the other way. Okay, example, you take your COVID-19 and all, you go for COVID test. Your COVID test is positive when in fact you are not having COVID, right? A pregnancy test is positive when in fact you are not pregnant. So that is what we call it as false positive. So that is quite familiar. I mean, quite often we come across this case of false positives. That is quite common in this healthcare diagnosis, right? Similarly, false negatives as well. False negatives are still common with COVID PCR testing. You are all aware of that, right? Yeah. So next, system error. Yeah, definitely AI systems, they do result in error because of this inappropriate programmed methodologies that happen. Next, over reliance. Yes, because see the technology, whatever we did mention earlier, they can occasionally malfunction. As a result, what will happen? They will misdirect the user, the patients, okay, with incorrect information. Thereby, the recommendations, whatever they provide to the patients, right, may not be correct, may not be appropriate. Understand? So that leads to changing the previous decisions, okay, and changing the subsequent decisions and all. Of course, overall it leads to an error. So over relying on the technology definitely will result in serious consequences for patients. So we need to keep a look on it. Next. Unexplainable results. Yeah, the results sometimes are unexplainable. We may not be able to explain them with the rationale. Okay. Next, unclear lines of accountability. See, this accountability is very important. We have seen the goals of AI in healthcare, objectives of AI in healthcare, right? So if you see this, we have got a moral accountability towards patients, right? Not to harm the patients. So how do you give that accountability? How do you take responsibility for that? The safety assurance to protect the patients against such harms, right? So this artificial intelligence based tools are quite challenging towards this clinical practices of assigning this blame, okay, assuring the safety and all. So that's why I put this unclear lines of accountability. Next. Yes, it does involve new skill requirements because we keep on getting updated on all the new skills. So the doctors involved, the nurses involved, all the people involved in the system needs consistent skill requirement updations. Next. Network systems vulnerable to malicious attack. Yes. So not only this, this is with regard to AI in healthcare. This is quite common for any domain that we keep working in. So the systems are vulnerable for malicious attacks. So we should have proper mechanisms to handle it. Next. So what do we need to do? AI training, right? So AI training is very important, properly, right? So we have to make the physicians, right, the trainers, okay, all must seek training in the use of those AI enabled tools, AI systems, AI algorithms, and adhere to the standards provided by the device companies. So by this we can minimize the errors. Next. Yeah, what can machine learning do for the healthcare industry? Right? Next. I'll show you. It will improve the accuracy of diagnosis, prognosis, and risk prediction, optimize the hospital processes, resource allocation, because we need to give the beds and all. The hospital has to be ready with the beds for the patients, especially this was a huge problem during COVID, right? So when the patient flow is more, how to optimize the resources, that is also there. So there are works being done using machine learning algorithms and identifying the patient subgroups, thereby having the personalized precision medicine, discovering the new medical knowledge, automating the detection of relevant findings in pathology, radiology, etc., in different things, oncology, reducing the medication errors, modeling and preventing the spread of hospital-acquired infections. Next. So thereby overall, the machine learning would help you to improve the quality of care and population health outcomes while reducing healthcare costs. So out of these things what I have mentioned here, I'll give you few with examples. Please go next. Next. Yeah, next. Next. I think the slide got repeated, sorry. Yeah, improve accuracy of diagnosis, prognosis, and risk prediction. Next. This one I'll show you here. Next. Yeah, you can see here an example of cardiac disease prediction is given here. So the heart attack risk visualization is shown here. So it shows the classification accuracy on the trained data. The x-axis you can see, it shows the principal components. Y-axis shows the linear discriminants. The graph is being plotted with predicted high and low risk patients above and below the horizontal boundary. It's being colored as high and low risk patients, high with red, low with blue respectively. There are over 20 risk factors relevant to the prediction and decision making are anchored here, right? You can see they are anchored around the data points. Next. Optimizing the hospital processes in terms of resources. As I said, this was a huge problem in accommodating the COVID patients in hospitals. So how to optimize the resources, especially the beds. Next. Yeah, by early and accurate prediction of each patient, so that is DRG, diagnosis related group, predict the demand and allocate the scarce hospital resources such as beds, operating rooms, etc. So for this also machine learning models are being used. Next. By early prediction of patients' future diagnosis, risks and care needs can enable more effective and efficient treatment and preventive care. Yes, next. So these use cases I'm just rushing up as we are running short of time. Yes, next. Next. Automated detection of relevant findings in pathology and radiology. Yes, so I have given an example of predictions using machine learning algorithms for prostate cancer. Next. Yeah, the pattern recognition based detection approaches using machine learning algorithms are employed here. So they have successfully applied to detect the regions of interest in digital pathology. Next. Next. So they are quite efficient and accurate in detection of those sub areas from the screened images. Thereby, they could be able to come out with a hierarchy for multiple search resolutions. Okay, next. Yeah, next. Yes, next. Next. Discovering new medical knowledge. Yeah, I already explained the drug discovery and all, right? That's of course. Similarly, we can come out with clinical guidelines, best practices. So there are many works you can see. Even bite marking also, there were not much databases. So we can come out with composite images to come out with this. See, as you all know, deep learning is data hungry, right? So we need to feed much data. So that means tens and thousands of images. So all the images are very expensive, medical images and all. So that is how the doctors asked to go for this kind of images, and using this images we need to go with network, and we have to come out with the results. So rather what we can do is we can go with one image, and with different data points we can come out with composite images, and that is also in place. Okay, so that is how for bite marking and all they have come out with the composite imagery based things using machine learning algorithms. Next. 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 Yeah, key technologies in terms of course I did mention about other wearable technologies and all. In digital health, if you see, there are many health apps. You have My Dose Coach. This is for adults with type 2 diabetes. Go Spiro app with measuring of air output from the lungs. Reset for the use of substance. To what extent the substance is being used with the drugs. Okay, so Reset app is there. Next. M-Health apps, as you have different layers of services in your network, we have got here software as a medical device, SAMD, okay, which is intended to be used for several medical purposes, okay, without being a part of hardware medical device. It enables clinical communication and workflow, which monitors the performance and proper functioning of the device. So these are all the examples for SAMD. Next. Yeah, I gave you the market growth statistics for wearable technologies. Similarly, digital health, you can see here for M-Health as well. Next. So overall, if you see the key technologies in AI as virtual assistants, we have got physical assistant and virtual assistant. We have seen, right? So virtual assistant, if you see, based on the learning experience through the algorithms. So we have got deep learning architectures, machine learning architectures, right, in AI to achieve all those milestones in healthcare. Next. Next, this is a part of machine learning. Yeah, in digital health, if you see the AI applications for healthcare organization, individualized healthcare plan is there, improving patient experience to identify the patient's anxieties. There are many algorithms being involved in it, and medical research and clinical care, drug discovery, accurate diagnosis, precise diagnosis, digital imaging is a part of it, development of personalized diagnostics and therapeutics, personalized health assistants, right? So AI chatbots, there are many health assistants for visually impaired people also to detect their pathways indoor as well as outdoor. There are many such digital apps available. And for public health, is early detection of infectious diseases and predicting the adverse drug reactions and all. So because OTC is quite common in India, such countries, right? So on the counter we can just go and buy. I have headache, I have this problem, that problem. You can just, without any prescriptions, you can go and buy. So this needs a study on drug reactions. What happens if drug A is associated with drug B with drug C? What are the side effects? So that association rule mining based is machine learning based studies are done. Algorithms have got place in such public health things. Next. Yeah, AR and VR applications in digital health. Virtual reality for surgeons, virtual reality for dentists, for paramedics, for hospice nurses, AR for surgeons, VR for surgeons, robot arms, all these things I have showed you and discussed earlier in physical assistance, right? Next. Yeah, finally I said I would touch this explainable AI, right, in healthcare. As we came across several advancements in IoT, advancements in computer vision through deep learning architectures, still the models are inscrutable. How can you interpret their decisions, right? Because, as I said, over-reliance is one of the potential risks pertaining to AI in healthcare, right? So what do we need to do? You can see this cartoon. Are you sure I'm okay now? Because still I have some problems, some issues. Because relying on the AI assisted diagnosis, yes, the computer assures me that you're fine. So what do we do? How this bridge has to be filled? This gap has to be filled. So there comes the domain explainable AI. It is a hot cake now. Many researches are being done in this. I hope there was a session on this explainable AI. You might have learned a lot. Okay, to explore new things. Yes, the cost of mistake is high. New hypothesis by the model, fairness in decisions, consequences of a decision, right to explanation. Yes, we need to be explained, right? So we call this explainable AI as interpretable AI. So what is this AI? So this is an AI in which the results of the solutions have to be understood by the humans clearly. So that is the main purpose of explainable AI, to make the solutions clear, understandable by the humans. So it's not like the concept of black box in machine learning. In machine learning, we got the concept of black box, right? We got all the solutions, all the outcomes, where it cannot explain why and how the AI arrived at this specific decision, right? Whereas explainable AI refers to the methods in the application of artificial intelligence, refers to the methods in the application of AI technology in a more understandable manner to the human. Okay, so this method will explain, okay, how the classification is being done, okay, how it is suitable for that particular thing. So all those explanations needs to be given, right? Yes, next. Yeah, so as I said, so many explanations that are supposed to be given to make the humans understandable on what is being done, how the solution is being arrived. Okay, of course it does involve all those technologies. So there where I have given about this Lime explanation, Shapley values, all those things, it's a part of that, right? So you need to explore to know about know more on this. Okay, so overall I should say that AI is making our life easier to diagnose the disease. Okay, so it has to be put up in the way how it is going to be explain the things in arriving at the solutions effectively. Okay, so that makes it sense. Next. Yes, thank you, dear students. Thanks for your patience in listening to my explanations, all those things. So thanks for your patience listening. Any queries?
So participants can ask your queries.
Good morning, Dr. Sivakumar. After a long time we meet through this
Yes, ma'am.
forum.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning.
Happy to hear your talk and see your.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Sorry, towards the end I was quite rushing because I prepared so many.
Working with any medical related